Good morning, everyone. It's Lee Henson, President and Founder of Agile Dad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand-Up. So without any further ado, let's get started. Today, I have a special treat for you. Today, I have the one and only, the best of the best LinkedIn coach on the interweb. She has been doing this for quite some time, and she is fantastic, and she has helped me through my overcoming objections piece of this. So, Vendy, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. Absolute pleasure to be here. And I am so excited for the progress that you have made over the last 3 months of blowing up on LinkedIn. Has anyone noticed? Please let us know in the comments. Have you seen what Lee's been up to?
This has just been crazy. It's been so busy. And you know, one of the things that I've learned from you is that it's important to share the love. So with that being said, I thought it'd be a good opportunity for us to talk about how does social media really, what impact does social media have on today's coaches? Because I'm an Agile coach, but I understand that you work with a lot of different type coaches. So I guess I'm gonna make this a two-part question. One, let's talk for a minute about what type of coaches could benefit from using LinkedIn as a service. And two, how has that social media impacted them? And then I'm happy to share how it impacted me. Go for it.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, honestly, I would say for all business owners, not just for coaches, LinkedIn is such a great platform for connecting with your ideal clients and having them become a part of your world and have them reach out to you for business. Because people come to me when they don't want to be chasing after the lead. They don't want to be cold calling, doing cold outreach, spamming people. That's the bad way of doing LinkedIn, which you might have noticed some people do. But basically, if you focus on building up your brand and credibility and authority on LinkedIn, people just come to you. They're like, whoa, you stand out. You're interesting. I'm liking your vibe. So they basically come to you, and that's how you get leads. So many business owners can benefit from this. Coaches in particular, because I have this massive belief that if you're a coach, people actually buy into you. Right. And they don't buy your product or service. I mean, obviously it comes as a given that you know what you're talking about. Like you should be good at what you do, but they buy into your vibe, the personality. And if we can get that energy across on LinkedIn, then people are just going to be attracted to you. They're going to be like, whoa, I want Lee to coach me. Like, this is so exciting. And it works with all coaches. I have intimacy and relationship coaches. I have, people in IT. I have sales coaches. I have accounting coaches, like so many different niches, because underlying idea is the same. We're trying to put you in front of your audience, have them fall in love with you, and just come to you. So that would be my answer.
I feel it. And I can tell you right now, one of the things that I've noticed, so I've been working with you now for how many months? Let's make sure we get this right.
3 months. 3 months, just
That's
over,
what I'm saying. 3 months and a little bit of change. But what I've noticed is that for me, so the top 3 things right away that I've noticed just from working with you, one is that traffic has significantly increased, not just on LinkedIn, but on my professional website as well. So as a business owner, I think it's important for you to understand how to leverage social media to have a presence so that people can further investigate and learn more about who you are. And I think that's one of the big takeaways that I got from you when we first engaged, was that too many people are using tools like LinkedIn as a waste of time to post their resume or their history, their job history. And they're not leveraging it as the real social media mecca that it is. So that's kind of our secret. I don't want to tell everybody. So if you heard that, erase it. Number 2 is that I'm starting to see increased conversion. So in the past, what I saw was that I had traffic, most of it was organic search traffic. And what would happen is people would come in, they'd spend some time, they'd bounce, right? It wasn't the dedicated traffic where people really wanted to dig in. And the truth is that, and here comes secret number 2. I don't know if I should be sharing all these. People want you to share a pearl of wisdom with them. And that's something else that I learned from you. They want you to share a nugget, something that's going to help them today, something that they can apply right now. And in doing so, it builds this relationship of trust and psychological safety so that you can have these kind of conversations with them, and they don't feel like it's sales. They feel like they're talking to a friend, a coach, someone who can give them some advice. And it's easy because they already come in knowing that they need your services. So there's no, and I guess that's the beauty. There's no, I've never had to sell anything in the last 3 months, which is pretty amazing, right? And then 3, I think this is the part that's most important to me. What you just described to me is what I call a perfect storm of agility. And let me explain what I mean by that. So tying us back to Agile is that many people come from different walks of life into the Agile world. So we deal with people from banking, insurance, finance, retail, military, Department of Defense, government, entertainment, you name it. And these people come from all walks of life. And the one theme that I hear quite often is, but Vendy, we're different. We're different. We do things differently. And I love what you pointed out right out of the gate, that a lot of the times the underlying fundamental piece is the same, right? The things that you need to do to progress are the same, but it's just this getting past the mindset, the mind frame of the voices in your head telling you that you can't do something or that you don't qualify or that you're
or if it's not professional.
That's the big one. And that's where I was going to go next. So I want to ask you that. So I've had a couple of people approach me, so I'm just going to come clean, and they've said, Lee, you have abused LinkedIn. That's unprofessional. And honestly, I laugh now because the results are in, right? I have a horse in a race and my horse won. It's just, but it's, how do you overcome? So I know there's a lot of people who may be more reserved or questioning. How do you overcome some of those fears that you have? What are some tips that you can give for people who want to engage, but they're not sure either that they're going to get the value out of it, or they don't know what type of commitment it's going to be? What are some tips that you can give to people to overcome some of those adversarial thoughts that are just making them make a poor choice?
And you are so right saying that this is actually half of this is about mindset. So we have to ask ourselves, like, why is it that we care so much what other people think? Why is it that we care so much if someone's going to think we're not professional? Because ultimately, if people buy you, then your only option is to show up as yourself. Right. And if you're going to try to stay in a professional bubble, then you're just going to look like everyone else, because everyone has a suit and tie and this professional photo on LinkedIn, and they all look the same, and they have a resume, and they have filled out the sections, and we have millions of people like that, and they don't understand why is LinkedIn not working for them. And that's kind of the reason, because you're trying to look like you're not, shaking up the boat. You're just like, you're being like everyone else, when you have to, people want to know your personality. So let that shine through. And it's awkward at first. And it's just a part of the process of like, how do I show up? And my first, and when I like to say started YouTube, because I'm trying to relate to when I start something new, it's always going to be a bit weird. So when I started YouTube, my videos were, I cringe watching them now, but the only way of getting past, that hesitation is just by taking action. Like that's how you win, because you take action, a bit uncomfortable, but I take action. And obviously I'm going to hold your hand through that, because I understand that it feels a bit uncomfortable, but if you're going to stay professional, you can do that, but do not expect to get clients. Right. That's just the reality.
And I think part of this has to do with refinement. And that's the easiest way for me to explain it. And this is something that's very popular in the Agile world. So I'm just trying to tie it together for anyone who's from the Agile audience, is that when you do something that's uncomfortable, right? Whether it's a retrospective, or whether it's an unexpected team meeting, or handling a difficult problem, or having a report that you're not on time with a project, or telling somebody that the idea that they have is a bad idea. I've been in that boat too, right? It's awkward. And what I find is that when you put yourselves in those awkward situations, that's when you grow the most. That when you go through that refinement process, that's when you grow as a person. And that's when you start to get your head around what you should or shouldn't be doing, right? So I have another question. So please. One of the things that I've noticed, and this is just a trend that I've seen, is that a lot of people are leveraging, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or those kind of things to be their, true social media platform. But they're weary when it comes, and they're doing it for personal, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So for their personal thing, right? But when it comes to business owners tend to be a little more weary, or they don't understand marketing from this new world perspective. How would you tell someone who, or what piece of advice, I guess, would be the best way to ask this, would you give to someone who is more traditional? they're not necessarily staunch and set in I don't want to be different land, but they're also not very aggressive or assertive or confident, I guess is the right word, in going out to the edge to show who they really are. What advice would you give someone if they're in that position where they're ready to engage, but they're just not there yet? What do you tell that person? How do you get that person to understand the importance of this?
Yeah, I love that. And let's just take one step back to reflect like how LinkedIn has changed, because LinkedIn has been around for nearly 20 years now. And that's for crazy. The longest time, right? It was a place where job seekers hung out, where recruiters hung out, and corporates were advertising their products. And like, I'm going to highlight that word advertising. So advertising basically means I'm selling at you. And I'm like, I'm creating an ad. Here's my product, buy it today. Or here's my service, buy it today. That's how the world was run. The world was really run on advertising for a long time. But only 5 years ago, LinkedIn completely transformed into a content creation platform. So it was this one thing that people kind of know it for, this professional resume-ish type of thing. Mm-hmm. But then LinkedIn was acquired by Microsoft and things changed and they had a different plan. So now it has become a content creation platform. So the difference between advertising and content marketing is that advertising is pushing your own agenda and products, and content marketing is what you alluded to first, which is like, let me give you value. Let me give you a micro tip, a micro win of how you can improve your life today. Because as a coach, and if you want to be seen as the leader in your niche, leadership is basically about servitude. So you actually think about, if you don't want to make it about yourself and you're like, I don't know how to put myself across immediately, think about serving people, because that might be easier. It's not going to be about you. It's going to be like, how can I help my audience? What don't they know today that I could just give a little tip them on, like improving their workflow, improving this and how to do this thing? They will start appreciating you for the value you're giving them. And that's going to build your credibility by default. So that's another way of thinking about it. You don't have to be like going inward and thinking about like what's the person I want to portray. Think about your audience and focus on giving value to them. And that just naturally is going to happen. The same thing is going to happen.
I love that. And I love that you tied it back to service. Because I always say when you lose yourself in the service of others, that's when you find out who you really are, right? That's when you find out who you are as a person and a professional for that matter.
Yeah.
Now, I want to make sure I point out one more thing before we go.
Please.
There are a lot of people out there who maybe aren't business owners, who aren't coaches. And they're like, how can I make myself shine better on a platform like LinkedIn so that I can get recognized for the next opportunity, for the next thing that's out there? If I could have you impart one word of wisdom to them, maybe something that they could do, what would you tell someone who really joined the platform as a job seeker, who's just looking to better themselves and maybe even looking for their next opportunity? Who knows? What advice would you give to them?
So focus not on yourself and like what you have achieved and all your past experiences, but what you can offer. So like headline is so important. So actually in a headline, it's like, don't say about like, I'm a product manager or I'm X, Y, and Z. That is all about you. Talk about like who you help and like how you can serve someone, right? So you could say, I help corporates or corporate teams achieve these results by deploying this strategy. Ask me about consulting projects or something like that, like how it can help you. So I always say, and I think it's true for both, because if you want to play in a different league within your career as well, you cannot be treating your LinkedIn profile as a CV anymore. It has to be a sales page. So as a business owner, you're selling, in a good way, in a servitude way, but you're selling to your clients. And as a career professional, if you're looking for that next role and that recognition that you're also an industry leader, because you can absolutely be a leader being within other, companies, you have to think about serving there as well. And not talking about like your whole life story in the about section, but like focus on like, hey, this is the results I have delivered. Let's say for my previous company, this was the increase in productivity, increase in sales. Like what was it that people achieved? And they're going to see the value in you and be like, whoa, we need someone like that. And again, you just build up your own credibility that way. Serve people. You can still create content and serve people. Think about the company. What are they struggling with, right? And what content can I create to help them? So it's a very similar strategy there. It's about really serving. It goes back to what we we're talking about. Serve the right audience, and they're going to recognize you for that.
That's brilliant. And what I can tell you is Vendy, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the services that you've offered and the way that you've helped me. It's been humbling to see some of the mistakes that I was making, the things that I could do better. And the way that we approached it together was a win-win situation. It gave me the ability to really accelerate on a tool like LinkedIn, but it also gave me the ability to learn more about who I was and the things that I could do to improve myself as an individual. And I think that was the point I was trying to emphasize, that I wanted people to understand that, whether you're a career professional, whether you're looking for your first job, if you're a business owner, if you're a coach, and you're just looking for a way to better understand how to leverage social media to do your thing, to become better at what you do, to stand out from the rest of the crowd. I know, Vendy, you offer LinkedIn boot camps, you've got one-on-one coaching opportunities, you've got all kinds of good stuff that you offer. So tell the group, what's the best way to get in touch with you? How do they find out more about those type of things?
Yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's where you find the space. Just message me on LinkedIn, or obviously go through Lee. Obviously, he knows exactly how to get in touch with me, and we have so many other bigger projects coming up for Lee. So you guys if you think he blew up in the last 3 months, give it another 3 and see where this guy is at. We have big plans, big plans.
It is getting crazier and crazier by the minute. Vendy, I am humbled to have you on. And this is why, she is the expert. And I always close with one last question. So I got to close with this question. If you could do one thing, Vendy, to make the world a better place, if I gave you what I call the thrift store genie lamp, it's a genie lamp, but it was at the thrift store. So it doesn't have 3 wishes. It's only got 1 wish left.
Oh, 1. Okay.
So if you rub that genie lamp and you had 1 wish, something that you could do, or something that we could do together, so a challenge that you could put out to others to make the world a better place, what one wish would you have for the genie? What one thing would you do to make the world better?
Probably my wish would be for people to kind of tune in within themselves a bit more, like to connect with their higher self consciousness, call it what you will, but like know that they are more than just like their physical body and their mind. Like we're not just our mind or physical bodies. We're so powerful. We have so much light within us. And once you tap into that and realize that, then you can really shine and show up as yourself. This is a part of also finding you and then being able to share yourself with the world. And it's a journey I've been on and so many people are on, but if I could just give that to all people, I know there would be so much happiness just from within and so much gratitude for just what is. So that would probably be my one wish for the genie.
Sometimes I wish we could put that in a can and just kind of sell it, but it's impossible to do that because each person has to discover it on their own. So introspect is probably the best piece of advice. And you'll be happy to know that you're not the only person that I've interviewed who's had that answer, which is really, really cool. So sometimes it's just find what grounds you, find what spiritually grounds you, no matter what it is, but find something that helps you discover the bigger picture. When you do that, it's a great opportunity to learn who you are. So that's going to do it for the day. Exactly. I really appreciate you being on. It's been amazing. If you would like to connect with Vendy, or if you have questions, or if drop questions in the comments below, we'd love to hear what you got. As always, we encourage you, if you want to learn more about this, or if you want to reach out, let us know and we'll put you in touch. No problem. So as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, take care. We'll see you.
Awesome. Bye.